So at a recent trade show, Sony had just revealed sales figures for one of their biggest exclusives in 2018, as well as their overall sales figures for the PlayStation 4 console itself. We won't spend too much time on the latter because I think the former is a lot more interesting to me, at least. So yeah, let's talk about these two sales figures we just got. So really quickly, we had just found out that the PlayStation 4 has just surpassed the 91.6 million consoles sold mark. There are 91.6 million consoles in people's homes, according to Sony, which is a pretty staggering amount, man. And it's just like it's crazy that it's like, to me at least, it just feels like it's not losing steam. Like it just feels like it's getting bigger and bigger each year, and I don't know, I don't really see much of it tapering off or slowing down. Even though within the next year or two we definitely should be seeing it kind of slow down a little bit. But it's crazy, man. The fact that, now it has, surpassed the PlayStation 3. It's on its way to surpass the Wii. It's also, I believe that within this same time frame, it's already surpassed the PlayStation 2 within the same time frame. But in terms of lifetime sales, PlayStation 2 is over 150 million, right? So I guess the biggest question is, will PlayStation 4 ever surpass PS2 in terms of lifetime sales? And I'm leaning towards no, man, because I feel like the PS2 was really a lightning in a bottle, right? It was just like a perfect storm of all these just the right things happening at the right time for Sony. Obviously you have the kind of technical features that nobody else on the market was doing in terms of the DVD player. Of course, you also have this great library that played a factor into it, but also just the competition at the time was a little shaky. I do believe this was around the time of the GameCube, right? And then of course Xbox was still new onto the scene, where they were still a newcomer. So I mean, the market was still PlayStation's to dominate. So it really was just this perfect storm of everything, falling into place for them, and that's why they were able to kind of trounce the competition in that generation. So, man, dude, like, I don't know, man. If I had to guess, I'm gonna say it's gonna get to like 125 lifetime. Like, that's my prediction. 155 that's a huge mountain to climb, dude. I don't think it's going to happen, but at the same time, I feel like I wouldn't be too surprised. But I'm gonna lean more towards no. That's just an insane number. Like, 155 is insane to wrap my head around, dude. But yeah, that's a crazy number. They'll probably get to 100 within 2019, within the next couple months, I would assume. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, now let's talk about the SpiderMan sales figures. So Sony also revealed that Spider-Man PS4 has sold more than 9 million copies worldwide, and I believe the cutoff date was like towards the end of November. Like, so this isn't even counting, the holiday sales and all that, which I would assume that also gave the game like a huge boost. But the fact that it did 9 million without counting that December holiday time frame is also like doubly impressive. But yeah, dude, this is pretty like, again, man, me trying to wrap my head around this for an exclusive. I mean, this is something that you really only see like Nintendo games do. Like your Zeldas and your Marios sell this much in such little time frames. It really is something that, like, at least to me, I only see those games do. But I mean, this is awesome in a multitude of ways. Obviously, the whole single player narrative. People saying that, oh, single players are one and done or whatever, or single player games are dying. Obviously, you had EA. What was in 2017? All the I want to curse so badly, but let's just say all the mistakes they made in 2017, and just where you see the industry kind of turning with, you know, these games of service type things, and the Fortnites of the world and the PUBGs and stuff like that. It's so reassuring to see a game that's just like, you know, boots on the ground. Let's focus on a great narrative. No, we don't need no multiplayer shenanigans. We don't need no loot boxes. We don't need no microtransactions. You know, we don't need any of that stuff. Let's just focus on telling a great story. First and foremost, obviously making the best game that we possibly can make. And it's awesome to see that being rewarded here. And once again, man, I know I've said this before in previous videos where I talk about these sales numbers, but I really hope that this shows, you know, other publishers or devs or whatever, that there's a place for these kind of games, you know, that gamers want these kinds of experiences. We don't all want, you know, the battle royales and I mean, you see what Call of Duty is now, that they're just not even, they don't even care about doing a single player campaign anymore. But all these live service games and your Destinies and Divisions and what have you, all those kinds of games that, like, we don't all, you know, I mean, both of those games, you know, these live services and single player games and all these kinds of games can coexist together, but it doesn't have to be one or another, right? Like, they can all exist in the same place. But I think the important thing is that, like, there's still an audience for these types of games, for your God of Wars, for your Spider-Mans, for your Horizons, Uncharted's, your Zeldas, your Marios, Persona 5s, your Nier Automatas. Like, I can name 10 more examples, right? There's a place for these games. Gamers want these kinds of experiences, and I'm glad that again, games like these, or at least, you know, seeing this game being rewarded shows that, you know, there's a place for them, that, you know, there's a huge audience out there who is looking for these kinds of experiences. And then I guess another huge reason why why this news really excites me is just for Insomniac, man. I'm so happy for those guys, because, like, I feel like, you know, Resistance, although, you know, being, you know, a fun series and a really cool departure from what they normally do, didn't really light the world on fire. And then you kind of had the Ratchet and Clank Future series, which, you know, a lot of fans will say aren't particularly their favorites, especially compared to the older trilogy of, you know, Up Your Arsenal, Going Commando, and the original game, and Deadlocked as well. So you definitely lose, like, some people because of that Future series. And then so after, you know, the Future series and Resistance, and then you have Sunset Overdrive, that was received positively, you know, critically and by the people who played that game. And that has always been the one. I don't have an Xbox One, but that has always been the one game that has, like, tempted me to picking up an Xbox One, because that game looks really, really cool. But yeah, like I said, that game was received well critically, but commercially it didn't do, you know, obviously it didn't light the world on fire. So it's like, it felt like Insomniac was just kind of like, although them, you know, putting out good games, sales wise not really doing much. So just to see them come out with, you know, something new for them, you know, the Spider-Man game, and for it to literally blow up like it did, I'm happy for them, man. This is the breakout game that I feel like that developer deserves. Yeah, for sure. I'm so happy for those guys. So before I wrap this video up, I wanted to, I mean, I guess my biggest question with these sales figures is, now, you know, obviously we know that it has surpassed 9 million copies sold. My biggest question is there possibly a PlayStation 4 exclusive that could possibly outsell Spider-Man? And that is that's a huge mountain to climb, man. Like, I really don't know, because so taking into account the last sales figures we got for God of War was 5 million, right? For Horizon, the last sales figures we got was 7.6 million. For Uncharted 4, it was 8.9 million. The Last of Us is a little weird because they combined the remastered with the PS3 version, and we found out that those two games together equated to 17 million copies sold. I would have liked to see that, split, like what did remaster sell alone and what did the PS3 version sell alone. I thought that would have been cool. But we know those two games together sold 17 million combined. So I don't think, like, let's take into account the final kind of wave of exclusive, first party exclusives for PS4, Ghost, Death Stranding, and Last of Us Part 2. Obviously, I'm excluding Days Gone and Dreams because let's be real now. I think those games will be good, but there's no way they're gonna get over 9 million. Ghosts, it's a new IP. I don't think it's going to reach that. Death Stranding as well. I mean, maybe Norman Reedus, being the face of this game, will kind of give it a little bit of a lift, a little bit of a boost. But I don't know. I don't see that as well, reaching those numbers. So I guess that leaves us with Last of Us Part 2, right? I mean, it's tough to say. Spider-Man obviously has that name recognition, that brand name. I mean, Marvel is at a all-time high right now. They are on absolute fire right now. Spider-Man specifically, man, is at it's like a golden age of Spider-Man with him. Just talking about him alone, especially with Spider-Verse, and Homecoming and Infinity War. And I hear the Spider-Man comics are kind of getting a little bit of a revival. So it just feels like we're in a kind of Spider-Man renaissance as well. And then couple that with the fact that Marvel is just kind of hitting it out of the park with everything that they do. So yeah, that definitely kind of like gives Spider-Man that edge. I don't know, man. So like in terms of Last of Us Part 2, I mean, obviously it's probably one of the most anticipated games of all time. Like, people are clamoring for this game. People are hungry for this game. Like, people are buying PS4 specifically for this game. It is like that much like in demand. Like, people want this game. But like, I have no doubt that it's going to reach 9 million copies. Like, I feel like it will definitely do that, especially if Uncharted 4 was able to do that, and I think a year, I believe, or a little bit less than a year, it was able to hit those numbers. I think Last of Us Part 2 will easily get there, by the year's end. But Lifetime, I don't think it's going to be able to beat Spider-Man, because once again, man, just that name Marvel and the name Spider-Man as well is just like, that's tough. That's so tough to beat, man. But if there was one exclusive that could possibly do it, then Last of Us Part 2 would have the best chance, obviously. Because I mean, The Last of Us, that name alone is like pretty huge too. Like, I think that name also has a brand recognition. Like, I feel like people know that name. But it's just like, do people know that name more than they know Spider-Man? And I'm gonna say absolutely not, right? So I don't know, man. Like I said, Last of Us would have the best chance, but I don't think it's going to happen. That's just too big of a mountain to climb, in my opinion. And you know what? I actually just thought about this that might help out The Last of Us Part 2. I think the release date is a big factor in this, and obviously, but I'm not talking about like specifically when it comes out, but like what year does this game come out? Because I feel like if this game does get pushed to, or if it does land in 2020, like I think it will, you would have to imagine that the install base would be a lot bigger than when it was when Spider-Man released. So I think it's tough, because if it does come out, later into the gen, when the install base is probably as high as it's going to get, then obviously, with more PS4s out in the wild, you increase your chance of, you know, people going out to get this game. There will obviously be more consoles out in the wild than there was in 2018 when Spider-Man came out. So I feel like, you know, if it does come out in 2020, just the fact that, let's just throw out a random guess. Let's say that there will be like 108 million consoles out by the time in early 2020. That's just a random guess. But if that is the case, then maybe that gives The Last of Us Part 2 an added boost, because there are so many more consoles out in the wild than there was when Spider-Man came out in September 2018. So maybe that gives it a little bit of a lift. I don't know, but that's something I literally just thought about. So yeah, I don't know, but if it comes out in 2019, then there won't be too much like that big of a difference between the install base from September 2017 to, let's say, September 2019. I don't know, man, it gets a little bit weird, but yeah, like I said, no matter what, man, Spider-Man doing 9 million in what, 2 months, man, is like pretty insane to me. Once again, congratulations to Insomniac. I'm so happy for those guys, man. Like, if there's one developer out there that deserves success like this, man, it's definitely them, man. I've been following them since like the very first Ratchet and Clank game, and like I could not be happier for those guys. So yeah, that's it for the video, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you guys think that there's a game, PS4 exclusive, that could possibly outsell Spider-Man? Let me know. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.